preaching? Let us hear an echo. All right, so once again, this is DS Mentor, put together by the Do Something Club, and we have been enriched immensely by our previous speakers, Engineer Mayo Ndoma of Intera Networks, as well as Coach Sam Obafemi of Barnabas House Group. And we are really privileged. You should count yourself really privileged to be sitting in this room right now, because the next speaker who is coming up to speak, I have interacted with him and I'm like, wow, whatever of his words, I always take note, and which is the only reason why, or part of the reason why we have video camera, so that none of his words will fall to the ground. Please join me as we welcome to the podium Dr. Frenzo Adeniyi Onamusi, as he shares how to comment on the journey from within.
Good afternoon, everybody. They say the taste of the pudding is in the eating. So before I can probably magnify things beyond measure, but you would have the opportunity to make your own assessments. I'm not sure the kind of audience we have, and I've asked him to do a bit of clarification to say what's the demographics, that is, what's the age range, what's the situation in life of people here gathered, so that what we are saying is tailored to the people. And so he has told me most of the people are young, dynamic individuals, with dreams and aspirations. And based on that, we said we're going to consider the topic, the journey from within. The other thing I didn't clarify was the religious inclination of the people that will be here, because I needed to also be sure that we were all on the same wavelength as far as that is concerned, so that we do not begin to offend or injure other people's sensibilities when we draw certain conclusions. Nevertheless, I will try as much as possible to be as neutral as possible, not delve in any particular religious dimension, and hopefully at the end of the day, I also like to take a lot of questions, because questions are a better way to apply truth and concepts to your particular situation. Questions are a better means of instruction. In fact, one of the greatest philosophers that ever lived, at least in my books, was Socrates. And the mode of instruction and the method of teaching was one of question and answer. So even when he knew the answer to a question, he would ask you a question, so that you first attempt it, and then by the time he starts to speak, it was going to be another question. Even when he was giving a lecture, at the end of the day, it's framed in form of a lecture, of a question. And the reason for that is that our mind is conditioned to stretch when questioned. Our minds are conditioned to aspire for something when questioned. But without questioning, without you bringing an element of possible mystery, then we are complacent. Okay, so somebody who says he's a Christian or a believer, for instance, he could start by saying, is there really a God? The regular person will come with the baseline assumption that there is a God. Okay, and you think he knows there's a God, but he doesn't take things for granted, and then that's where you start your conversation. At the end of the day, you might still live with the same conclusions you came into the room with, but now you have a more robust set of framework upon which you hang those thoughts and those conclusions. And that's why I love for there to be questions. And so we're going to do something that's a bit unusual. If you have a question while I speak, just signal, okay? But make the questions very crisp and concise so that it doesn't distort the flow and the progression of the meeting. So, the journey from within. I'm a scientist by nature. I studied medicine, and so one of the things is that before you believe something, before you ascribe any form of mental consent or assent to a thing, you want to say, is it verifiable? You want to say, is it evidence-based? You want to say, given certain conditions, can I repeat this outcome? You understand that? So, and that's what scientists do, and that's what science is about. And what I also try to do in my personal life is that I like to treat it like science. Okay, I like to treat it like science. And by that, I mean that there are principles, there are theories, there are concepts that I can use and apply to my personal life that can guarantee certain outcomes. Okay, if we are able to prove that it works in all circumstances. And one of the things that has been a big question for me is the question of how do people become successful? How do people become significant? How does one person, despite all the limitations of environment and even seeming genetic limitation, how do they get to be great and influential and famous? How do people begin to wield influence in the world? How can one man control millions of people? How can one woman have influence on generations? You know, those kind of questions I started to ponder since I was very young, as a matter of fact. And one thing I've discovered based on all my reading, and you don't have to take this sacrosanct, but one thing I've seen and has been debated and all is that our outcomes in life and what we become and what we do is it's based on three factors. One is genetic. Okay, number one is genetic. Number two is your personal drive, your personal vision, your personal ambition. And then number three is environment, okay? Meaning where you are situated, the people you relate with, and all of that. So those three things are important, okay? So genetic, environment, and personal ambition or personal drive. You know, so if you look at anybody, so let's take just simple examples before we delve into it. So let's take, say, Michael Jordan. Okay, how many of you know Michael Jordan? Okay, the basketball legend. Okay, now Jordan would not have been great despite all of his training and all if he was not genetically suited. Okay, he has a form of intelligence we call kinesthetic intelligence. Okay, meaning that he's able to move in a particular way. He can see himself moving in a particular way and get his body to move that way. Not everybody can do that, no matter how much you try. Did you understand that? Okay, so there's that genetic element that says that, okay, there is an innate endowment, there is an innate grace, there is an innate ability, okay, that allows him to be able to demonstrate those things. And then when he goes and he does all those things in the hair and he dunks and all of that. Okay, another good example is Michael Jackson. Okay, people just don't get to be that good, you know. So there is an element of genetics, okay. But then Michael Jackson will also then tell you that he trains or he rehearses, he practices more than perhaps any musician during his own lifetime. Do you understand that? Okay. Case in point was the album Thriller. With just about 10 or 11 tracks on the LP or on the CD, and then he wrote 700 songs for that singular album. He wrote 700 songs, and then they started taking this one out, putting this one in, taking this one out. But you can imagine the kind of discipline, the kind of rigor that a man will go through to sit down, write 700 songs. So he was disciplined, there was a personal ambition, but he was also genetically suited. Okay, some people cannot for the life of them make out a chord in a piece of music. Do you understand that? Because they do not have that ability. Some people for the life of them cannot understand why somebody would bounce the ball around and they want to dunk it, okay, because it's not in them, okay. So, but no matter how they try, for instance, personally, when I was in secondary school, I wanted to learn to play the keyboard, you know, I got a personal tutor, I did all of that. I just couldn't get it. I said, just the string, just reading that. I could read the piece of music, but just to stay at that keyboard, and I just couldn't do it, okay? But I love it when people do it, okay? I love music, but I can't get myself to hold the tunes in my head. Okay, but if you talk about speaking or writing and all of that, then I'm gifted in that direction. So it's key to know what you are genetically suited to do and what you have innate ability to do. Okay, and then there is also the environment. To explain the environment to you, I'm going to use this example. When we were in medical school, there was this guy who was my friend. And he was not one of the best in the class, you know. So I would say he would be in middle, between 50 and 60% of the class, you know, that kind of a person. That doesn't mean he's dumb. Anybody in medical school is brilliant, okay? So, but, you know, he was not like one of the flash in the pan kind of guy. So, and then he left, after we left school, he was a British citizen. He went to the UK and then went into training like any other person. He struggled through training and then made it as a consultant. Now, he is a consultant in the UK. And then I have another friend who was like top 5% in the class, who went through after medical school, immediately got into residency here. He was the first in my set to become a consultant. Okay, so it's that brilliant, okay? So, and then recently, I tried to get people in my set together. So I was having a get together and these two people were in the same room, in the same place, and we started talking about issues. And then I was making an observation. And my observation was that if you come into the room and take a snapshot, and I ask you who is more intelligent, who is smarter between these two, you pick the guy in the UK, okay? Why? Because his environment has expanded his mind. His environment has brought him to see things that this other brilliant, extremely brilliant and gifted guy in Nigeria has never seen. His environment has brought him into contact with knowledge and with skill that this guy can only dream or imagine. Do you understand? And because of that, he is now sufficiently more gifted than the more brilliant guy. So your environment is key. So those are three key things is what we look at. All right. So for the sake of this meeting, because I see some people who you don't mind if I read from the Bible, do you? No. Okay. All right. So so the journey from within. So what that means then is that scientists have ascribed 50% of our outcomes to our genetic makeup, and they've ascribed another 30% to personal aspiration, and then they've ascribed 20% to environmental factors. Okay, and the reason perhaps why they've ascribed 20% to environmental factors is that through personal ambition and dream and drive, you can actually do change your environment. Do you understand? All right, so you can actually do change your environment, and that's possibly why they've ascribed more weight to personal ambition and personal drive. You can change the types of friends you move with. You can change the type of circle you roll in. You can change your location. You can change your geography at any point in time. okay, if you have sufficient drive and vision and focus to make that happen. So the outcome of your life is therefore within your control, despite the fact that 50% has been given to genetics. Okay? And the reason for that is that within the limits of your genetic makeup, of your innate ability and giftings, you can say and ask yourself the question, how do I want to end up? How do I want to turn out? How do I want to affect the world? How do I want to be remembered? How do I want my epitaph to be written? How do I want to go down in the history books? Everybody can ask that question, no matter who you are, and no matter where you're from, no matter your giftings, no matter where you've been, what you've been through, you can ask that question, how do I want to end up? Okay? And that's where we begin today, by me asking you that question. How do you want to end up? Because the moment you can sincerely and honestly answer that question, how do I want to end up, then your life can have a beginning. A wise man once said, fear not that your life will come to an end, but rather that it will never have a beginning. Because until you come alive to the fact that you are a unique individual and you have a purpose in life, then you do not really begin to live, because all you do is to live the lives of other people. Now, what is that legacy I want to leave behind? Then at that point, you begin to live. You begin to live. So I'm bothered with this issue because it's an issue of significance. And a lot of people are not asking this question, especially in an environment like ours. Okay? And what I mean by that is that in an environment where there seems to be no hope, and where people struggle to live just day to day, you just struggle to get by, it's difficult to begin to dream or reach or think of something bigger or higher than just the here and now. When you leave school and you're trying to get a job, it's difficult trying to think of yourself as the next Bill Gates or Mark Zuckerberg. You get what I'm saying? It's difficult when you're having relational issues. You are barely getting by. Yourself as the person who can bring change, say, to the economy of Nigeria or to Africa, or to somebody who will revolutionize the aviation industry in Nigeria or in Africa. It's difficult to think about those things when you're struggling. But that is the best time to actually think about those things. Okay? Because that in itself, okay, I'll tell you a bit of myself so that I provide context. It's easy to see somebody talking like this and who has achieved maybe a few things and think that they've had it easy. Okay? I grew up poor, as in, I'm from a rich family, but I grew up poor. I grew up in a situation where in, say, a space of, say, 3 to 4 weeks, we will not be able to eat anything more than drink garri. Do you understand that? As in, so that's that poor. In fact, growing up, we had a week we marked, in fact, 10 days we marked on our calendar, 10 days in March. We called it Coconut Week. All we ate was, coconut and garri for like 10 days stretch. All right, so, I grew up in that kind of, in quote, hardship, okay? But the truth for us was that my mom was a dreamer, okay? And she would dream and imagine things. I was 10 years old, 11 years old when we were going through all this, and she would talk to me and tell me I would be a doctor and I would be this and that. And she was a dreamer, and she would talk about things that are really big and audacious and bold, and people that are poor should not even dream or think about those things. Do you understand? And that was the kind of woman that she was. And we grew up being dreamers, despite the fact that we were poor, or in the words of a preacher, we were broken and disgusted. So so we were really poor. So when I say things like that is the best time for you to dream, don't think that it is the words of a man that's just been fortunate. No, it's somebody who grew up with hardship, with difficulty. And the truth of the matter is we never saw what we were going through as hardship or difficulty because we were too consumed with where we were going to. Did you understand that? Let me use Abuja as an example. My secondary school will be somewhere in Mpape, and my house somewhere in maybe Gariki or Apo. And every day for like 3 years, I walked to school and back. Do you understand? So, just to paint you the picture, this is not some fortunate guy just telling you some feel-good stories. Okay, and now I can wake up in the morning in London and be in New York in the afternoon. You understand that? Okay, so but this is the same guy that walked from Mpape to Gariki or Apo every day. Okay, so the focus is on where am I going to. So I'm going to skip a few things and dive into it. So I'm going to tell you 3 simple steps to significance that I've used in my life, that I've seen people use, and that I've codified into a set of principles that work. Okay, so if you want to achieve or attain significance, the first thing, and everybody says this, but it doesn't make it any less true, is that you have to see it in your mind's eye. So number 1, see it. Number 2, say it. Number 3, seize it. Okay, so I'll just give it out and then I'll explain. Okay, so number 1, you've got to see it. Number 2, you've got to say it. And then number 3, you've got to seize it. Okay, so let's start from, say, anybody in this room that is neither a Christian nor a Muslim? Maybe an atheist, a canker. Okay, so everybody here is at least a Christian or a Muslim. All right, so I want to use an example of this. For both Christians and Muslims, I think there's somebody who we all refer to as the progenitor of our faith, okay, and that is Abraham, isn't it, or Ibrahim, So, and something remarkable happened when God wanted to bring that man, Abraham, into significance, okay, and that's in Genesis chapter 12, verse 1. Is there a Bible anywhere around? Okay, I'll just read for myself. All right. So, and very, very, very basically, I'll tell you what it is. It says, Abraham, you have to leave your father's house, you have to leave your kindred, you have to leave everything, and go into a land that I will show you. Okay? Into a land that I will show you. And then he took him to the mountains and said, what do you see? Okay, that's one. And then when he wanted to give him a child, okay, which is Isaac, what then happened was that God called him out and said, look at the stars. He was barren for 75 years, okay, and says, look at the stars, what do you see? Look at the skies, what do you see? He said, I see stars. And God says, so shall your children be. And then it took him to like the seashore and said, look at this. What do you see? He said, I see a lot of sand. It says, so shall your seed be. And what God was trying to do was to create an image in the mind of Abraham. Okay, this was a man that was barren. This was a man that had nothing, had no child. And God wanted him to dream of the ability of having children, and not just one, but having multiple, to the end that his seeds will cover the face of the heart, isn't it? All right. So, and for you, and that's why I said that when you dream in the place of hardship. You dream when you have nothing. All right. So while I was in medical school, a friend of mine came once. I had written 25 things I wanted to achieve by 25. Okay, and I had it by my bed. She's from a very rich, wealthy family, and she took it, and you know, I didn't know she had read it. So about 2 years after, you know, she told me that, wow, man, you are impossible. I said, why do you say that? She said, because 2 years ago I came to your room, I saw that stuff you wrote, and I was laughing to myself that how is this boy ever going to achieve this? Okay, so for instance, one of the things I had on it was because I was going to leave medical school by 25. So one of the things I had on it was that I was going to build a business and I would be able to pay the salary of a doctor before I left medical school, that is by age 25. Okay, so, and at that time, when she was reading it, I had nothing to show that that was going to happen. Okay, and then while I was in medical school, I started a business center. I recruited like 4 people. I was making more than the salary of a doctor. Do you understand that? Okay, but I mean, the reason why she laughed and felt this guy is just crazy was because she could not imagine how it would be possible. She knew the kind of home I came from. You know, she knew the resources I had. Okay, so how would it then be possible that this boy, that I still dash money from time to time, will build? You understand what I'm saying? Okay, how will it then be possible that this boy will build a business if people like us are not dreaming it? Do you understand? And that was done, and she even became a distributor of one of my businesses. All right, so that's the time to dream. All right, and anything is possible. Okay, so number one, you have to first see it in your mind's eye, and you have to see it clearly, and it has to be something you are passionate about. Okay, I can give you a formula that I use to plan my life. You know, I plan my life around 4 or 5 things. Number one, I plan it around family. Number two, I plan it around my faith. Number 3, I plan around finances. Number 4, I plan around relationship. And then number 5, I plan around my career. Okay, so meaning if I want to dream, you know, in school then, what I would do is I'll take a notebook and I'll say, I'll write 50 things I would just like to achieve. Do you understand? It takes a lot of discipline. In fact, there was a day I was stuck, or there was a period I was stuck on number 35 for like 2 weeks. But I wanted at least to complete 50, you know, so that, because you need to challenge yourself, so that you have something you wake up in the morning to do. Do you understand this? Okay, so you plan around personal development. Okay, so for instance, I said in school, the reason I'm using an personal example is you're at that space, so I don't want to just talk theories to you. Okay, so I was building what I called, you know, what I call interpersonal skills, and being able to communicate effectively with people, not in a crowd like this, but you know, one-on-one. So I decided to do an experiment. I decided to write at least 3 people every day. You know, I'll just write notes and letters to 3 people. That year I wrote more than 1,000 letters to people. All right, but it was not just letters. They were letters that I was using to connect with other human beings, with other people. All right, so I would say, what's your name? Emmanuel, all right? So I'll say Emmanuel. Emmanuel is my classmate. I've been seeing it, but we've never really spoken. And I will write a full page or 2 pages of notes to Emmanuel. You know, crazy, isn't it? As in, why should you write people notes and all that? You know, so, and I will do that. In the process, I was developing my own writing skills, because if you took all those 1,000 letters I wrote that year, you could make a book, you know that. All right? So, and because I did not want it to just be something light, sometimes I would stay on 11. Nobody sent me. Alright? I would stay on 11 and writing to Emmanuel for like 2-3 hours. I would write it, refine it. I would imagine the kind of emotions, the words we evoke in him when he read it. Okay? Because I wanted to connect with him, and I don't want him to just put it aside. I wanted to mean something to him, and therefore I now have a relationship with Emmanuel. Okay, because what would happen after every time I gave somebody a note was that they wanted to talk. They wanted a conversation. Okay, and then sometimes it's, oh, how do you know that? Sometimes I sit in class, I see somebody that's just, somebody who is normally cheerful and bright, then I'll write you maybe a 10-line note. Okay, I was not just doing it for them. Yes, I was doing it for them, bring a fat smile to their face and make them happy and all that. But I was also doing it for me. Because it was expanding my soul, it was expanding my own capacity to give and to understand people and to connect with people. Did you understand that? And in life, you find out that what just looked like an exercise in futility or an exercise for fun can then make you millions of naira and dollars. I'm not kidding, all right? Because while I was practicing medicine, I would sit down with a patient, and the way I interacted with them, my MBA, one of my patients paid for, so because it didn't pay for it because I was doing my MBA, but the guy was so overwhelmed. At that time, I didn't know how to pay for this MBA, and then the guy came back from the UK and called me, he was an Igbo chap. He said, Dr. Lee, where you there? He said, you don't the hospital? I the hospital. Come down. And the guy gave me about 100,000 naira, and then what was my salary as a doctor? Maybe 72,000. Okay, and somebody to just give you 100,000. That was a lot of money. I used it to pay for my MBA, and well, I didn't even take that certificate. But that's another story. All right. So now, but how could I affect that guy that much? That even after he left the hospital, it was not my clinical skills. Yes, I was good, but I knew it wasn't my clinical skills. There was a human connection. The guy was at a point where he thought he had no hope and he was gone. And he saw somebody who gave him hope. And for him, that was everything. Okay, just last week they called me, a friend of mine called me, the mom had hepatic carcinoma, blah, 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 blah. I went to see her, and then, and spoke with her, and I was with her. I went to see her 3 days consecutively, and then she told her daughter after I left, she said, since all these things started, this was the first person who understood what I was going through. You don't just, you develop it. The children want to be able, they want her to feel that way, they are around her, but it's a skill. Yes, it has to be genuine, they love her, perhaps more than I love her, but she didn't feel it. And if it's not felt, it doesn't exist in that state. Did you understand that? Okay, so, so what I do is I build my life around those 5. Now that's all of that. The last 3 minutes, a bit of deviation. Let's come back on track. So you've got to see it, all right? So, and how do I say this? the biggest problem we have is that we don't dream enough. The biggest problem we have is that our desires are too little. The biggest problem we have is that our aspirations are too low. We set the bar too low. Do you understand? I mean, okay, let me shock you a bit. There was this girl that I liked when we were in school, and has it ever happened to you that you feel somebody is better than you? Do you understand? And I felt, this girl is better than me, man, I can't, And then, later, she became my friend and blah, blah, blah. I discovered that, okay, she's not all that, all right, so I'm sorry. I discovered that she ain't all that. And then, later on, when she got married, I knew why I felt she wasn't all that. This is hard to explain to you, man. Now, because you will be able to assess how big a dreamer a girl is by the guy she marries. Do you understand that? The person doesn't have to be rich, doesn't have to, but when you interact with that person and the quality of interaction is there, it doesn't matter that they have money, it doesn't matter that they, but you interact with somebody and the quality of interaction is here. I just shut down like, and but the issue is that she probably could not dream enough to say that I deserve something better and resigned herself to whatever was available. Do you understand that? And we all do that, not just in relationship, but in work. So I saw somebody with an NYSC uniform the other time. All right. So now what will happen is you get a job. Okay, don't let me particularize it. Let's say you leave NYSC, you want a job, you stay 3, 4, 5 months without a job, isn't it? Which is the norm around here at Adelaide. So you stay 4, 5 months without a job, 6 months, 7 months, and then all of a sudden a friend tells you, Chidi, they are recruiting, and say, okay, where now? Yeah. Then you drop your resume, and then they call you for an interview, and then they say, and your dream. Okay, we are not even dreaming. Okay. All right, and then they get you, and they give you a job for 80,000 naira. All right. Now, this is the conundrum. You are likely to take it. 99% of people take that first job that comes to them. You know that? 99% of people take the first job offer they get. Okay? So, now you take the job. And that's not the problem because 99% of people do it at any rate. Alright? And then, but because you were not dreaming, inside you, it's, let's say you studied electrical engineering. Inside you, based on your gifting, based on your capacity, is the ability to discover the next nanotechnology that will provide uninterrupted power to a massive landmass, So inside you is that capability. But because you took the first job that was offered you, then what happens? You start doing that job, then you get married, and then you have a child, and then you get promoted to 120 or 150,000 a month, and then, do you understand? And that's how people just pass the time, okay? And then the people who think they are visionaries in the environment is, you say, okay, I'll go to the UK, I'll go to America, I'll go to Canada, I'll go to Australia, and then you rope yourself into the same kind of thing, where you just take the first job. That, of course, is 10 times better than what you would have earned back home. The environment is better, but you are not really creating change. You are not really significant. You are not really wielding influence. So what is the solution? Again, I'll use my personal example. I was in medical school, and halfway into medical school, I decided I wasn't going to practice medicine. Halfway into medical school. Why? 3 simple reasons. Number 1, doctors are poor. Number 2, doctors don't have influence. And then number 3, all the people around me were not inspiring me. Alright? So I saw a 70-something-year-old professor still pushing his car. Do you understand? I know that's normal thing you see, around doctors, okay? I mean, he had this rugged old Volvo, and Professor Falami, very brilliant guy, was a nephrologist, I think he had double fellowship, incredibly brilliant man. And I looked at that man and I said, I'm not going to end up this way. All right? And then I did a quick assessment and looked at all the people I knew who were doctors, and none had that breakout success like I would want. All right? And then, I had a brother who was a doctor. He was in the US, so I called him up. I spoke to him about it, that, you know, I'm having these crazy ideas. I'm thinking of not practicing after medical school. What does he think? He said, that's a tough call. So what will you do? You know, and I was like, I'm going to figure it out, but I just wanted to sound you out first. He said, well, he went through the same phase, you know, that he was not going to practice. He went and did MCSE, you know, qualified as a Microsoft certified engineer, blah, 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 you know, but that after he got to the UK, you know, he went into pediatrics and then to the US, and he just picked it up from there, picked up medicine from there again, because it's actually easier for you to be successful as a doctor more than any other discipline in those places. You know, doctors are at the top of the pay scale in the US, in the UK. But that's because you're in paid employment. So I thought to myself, okay, do I want to be earning salaries and all that? So I said, okay, thank you very much, that's a consideration. So he said, I think what you should just do is, after medical school, don't even do house job, don't do NYSC, just come to the US, blah, blah, blah. I said, okay, good point. So, and then after we spoke, I said, okay, but I don't want to still be earning salary, and then, you know, you're earning 300,000 per annum and all that. I want to be Bill Gates, you know what I'm saying? I want to be the next, you know, I was reading a lot of management books at that time, and not for the money, but for the influence, you understand? I would read somebody like Peter Drucker, I would read somebody like Charles Andy, I would read somebody like Alton Peters, and I would see the kind of impact these guys were having. I said, no, this is what I want to be. I want to be this Tom Peters guy. Not because he was rich, but because this guy will stand before CEOs and before presidents and tell them what to do. I mean, Charles Andy will design the entire healthcare structure for the UK. That's the kind of thing I want to do. I just don't want to be seeing one patient at a time. I want to have wholesale influence, you understand? Not the retail. You know, when you're a doctor, it's retail influence, you know? So, you know, it's one at a time. You know, you stay 10 minutes with this one, or 15 minutes, or 1 hour. You know, I wanted something more. I wanted to just 1 hour of my time was able to solve a problem. Okay, what are the things they do? Your competence is your knowledge, your skills, and your personal attributes. So what are the things these guys knew? What kind of knowledge did they possess? What kind of skills do they have that enable them to do all this kind of thing? And then I started to write down those things. Okay, so by the time I was finished, that was part of the list the girl saw. So I said I was going to be a project manager, I was going to be a chartered accountant, I was going to be, I had a whole lot, you know. So, and right there from school, I'm not kidding you, I started writing all those exams. I was in medical school. In fact, one of my final papers of, you know, in medical school coincided with my final exam in human resources. Okay, so, you know, that kind of a crazy, massive push. Okay, now if you look at a human resource professional in Nigeria, okay, all they have is a BSc, maybe a master's, and one professional certification. Okay, I have 2 professional HR qualifications. All right, I have the American certification, I have the Nigerian certification, and I was doing it while I was in medical school. All right, if you look at a project manager, again the same story. They probably have 1 professional certification, maybe PMP or maybe Prince 2. I got the 2, all right? If you look at an accountant, they would maybe have ICANN or ACCA. I've got ACCA. If you look at a marketer, they've got maybe NIM or CIM, you know, I have NIM. Okay, if you look at a public relations person, they probably don't have anything, you know. Most public relations people, they just wing it. Even now, NIPR is insisting that you have to have a professional qualification before you practice as a PR person in Nigeria. I've got an IPR. So, you know, because I was saying, first thing is acquire the knowledge. So when I said acquire the knowledge, you know what I was doing? I was just reading. Huh? Then, one day the thought occurred to me that, hey, but you know nobody knows what you know. Huh? You understand that? As you know, I would take an accounting textbook. I would read it cover to cover. But nobody knew that I knew it. Okay? I would take law textbook. I was teaching law students contract law. I will take a law textbook, you know, sag it. I'll read it. Any lawyer in house? No lawyer here. All right, I'll read it back to back. But nobody knew that I knew, so I said, no, change of strategy. You have to certify. All right? So, because when you certify, then there's evidence of knowledge. It doesn't mean that you are skilled, but at least there's evidence of knowledge. And so I did all of that. Okay? And you know how that pays off? When I go on an engagement, let's say it's, so for instance, for the NHS, the NHS is the National Health Trust in the UK. So for the NHS, we do consulting, okay? And we do performance improvement stuff, we do quality improvement stuff and all that. So if I go on that account, on an account that you're supposed to hire like 5 professionals, okay? You know, I just get one boy, I tell what to do. I'm all the 5 in one. Alright? So what that means is that if you are paying me £50,000 for an engagement, okay, normally your outlay, your outflow in that kind of, you know, should be like £30,000, what you pay people that will work, okay, and you know, overheads and all, so maybe you make £10,000. That's the way such contracts are structured. But now I can actually make £40,000 on such an engagement. I don't know if you get it. All right. So because you've developed yourself to a point that you can respond to any of the challenges that work, that situation presents. Okay. I wanted to bid for a job here once, and it's a World Bank contract, and they said they needed the lead consultant to have an HR certification and to have a project management certification. You know, most of my friends couldn't be because, you know, it's IT that we do. It was an IT engagement. You know, so most of my friends that were doing IT could not respond to that bid. Okay, because when it's a World Bank contract, they will really investigate the consultants. They must see. You can't just submit somebody else's stuff for them. They will see you. They will, so, you know, so we got the job. All right. And when did I do all of that? 10 years prior. Okay. But I already saw myself as being able to do those things. And then I now ask myself, I said, what do I need to do to be this kind of person that I want to be? What do I need to do to be able to sit with, how many of you know Tom Peters? Damn, man, you gotta read. All right, so Tom Peters for like 10 years was regarded as the #1 business thinker in the world. Okay, after Drucker. All right, so, but you know Peter Drucker, you know the name?
Yes.
All right, so, so he's in that league, you understand? So I was asking myself while I was in medical school, I said, what would it take for me to sit at the same table with Tom Peters? Do you understand that? Yes. What will it take for Tom Peters to sit with me and for me not to be intimidated or for me not to say I don't have the right to be here? Do you understand? You have to think like that. Okay, whatever it is you desire, you know, you have to benchmark it and say, what will it take? You know, I don't know what your dreams are likely to be. Okay, what will it take to be the #1 authority in network management, not just in Nigeria, in Africa, across the world? What will it take? Because the people that are, they are not different from you. Do you know? Let me explain it to you. This is another thing I do. When I see somebody that's really good, I benchmark myself. I say, I give myself 2 years, I'll be better than this guy. So yesterday, I was watching Bloomberg. I don't watch TV, but that's the only station I watch on TV. How many of you know Bloomberg? It's there on your DSTV, 411, you know. So, that's the only station. So in fact, anywhere I go to, they know I just do 411. You know, I watch for 30 minutes. I do it for inspiration. I don't have time to sit down with TV. You know, so and then I go. Now, this guy was talking. He was talking about. He was the chief economic strategist for an investment company. You know, as the guy was talking, the guy was saying things I didn't know. You understand? And the team was like, oh my God. And so I benchmarked the guy. I said, okay, in 2 years, I'll be better than this guy. So what will it take? Do you understand that? What will it take? You know, I immediately benchmarked him. I called one of my friends this morning. I said, Benga, change your plans. Okay? There's a guy I need to beat in 2 years. All right? So that will redefine a few things about me. That might mean that I may not make as much money as I would love to, because now I'll be channeled in personal development in a particular area. You know, the guy, oh God, how do I explain what this guy was doing to you without boring you? The guy took global economy, okay, and was measuring global economy based on 3 factors, you know. Oh, don't worry, don't let me go into all that. Anyway, and I was like, oh my God, okay, we gotta go. See it. Okay, so yesterday again I saw something, but you have to see something, and you need to know that no matter how much you dream, it is possible. Do you understand that? You need to know that no matter how much, what's your wildest dream? It is possible, because we've not even humanity has not scratched the surface of what is possible. Do you understand? Have you seen what they do with phones now? Okay, there's an app that Google is developing. Okay, so I call you, I'm speaking in English, and you're hearing me in real time in Italian. Do you understand? All right? How is that possible? Real time, there's no delay. It's not like he's passing it and recording it, and you know, he's doing, you know, because the way translations work in technology is text-based. Okay, it converts to text and then converts back to audio. Alright? So these guys are saying, can we test the limit of this technology to make it, to do an audio-based real-time translation? It's a supposedly technological impossibility, but people are devoting their time and their energy and their effort and their resources to doing it. You've seen the driverless car? Yes. You've seen the driverless car? Yes. A car that drives itself. Okay? Now, they've done the prototype. The prototype, no steering wheel. You've seen that? No steering wheel in the prototype. You come in, you put in your destination, it takes you to your destination. Do you understand? Somebody thought of that. Somebody dreamed that up. Do you understand these things? Somebody, do you know the value of Apple today? Apple is $600 billion. Somebody thought that up. Google is $401 or $402 billion. Somebody thought that up. It was just a seed, an idea, a dream in the mind of some 2 scruffy guys in Stanford. Do you understand? They did not set out to be rich, but they set out to change the way we operated on the web. Do you understand? It's just a dream, and it is possible. So say to yourself, it is possible. It is possible. It is possible. So see it. All right. Since I'm trying not to go too deeply into the Bible, yeah, you know, I'm a spiritual man. I'm talking about. But, you know, all right. So I mean, if you look at anybody that's achieved anything, they have to say it first. Yes. All right. Now, somebody is wondering, how could Jesus Christ stay on that cross and die and all of that? You know what the Bible says? It says Jesus, for the joy that was placed before him, endured the cross. Okay? God made him see something that was worth dying for.
Yes.
And that was why it became easy for him to go through that agony and that torment. Some of you have seen the movie Passion of the Christ. That was how it became easy. Why? Because he had seen something. See something, boy, see something, see something, see something. You gotta see something. Alright, so you gotta see something. So go home, take a journal, write in it, see something, just dream, just dream. Just dream, you know what I mean? Just dream. Dream of the kind of house you want to live in. Dream of the kind of future you want. Dream of the kind of job you want. Dream of how you want your children to be. Dream of the kind of school you want them to go to. My daughter has a jersey. It's got Harvard University on it. If you ask her which university are you going, she's 5. She will tell you I'm going to Harvard. I'm not kidding. All right? She may not go, I don't know, but I'll do my part. I'm telling you, but I'll do my part to sow that dream.
Wow.
All right? So she's got it, you know? And then 3 days ago, she called me and said, Dad, when are you taking me to Harvard? You know, so you are sowing the dream. You are sowing the dream. All right? And see something. All right, so a vision, as I translated it here, is the picture of a desired future. So that's what I need you to see. What future do you desire? Now, another light one, another joke. Or not a joke, reality, but it's funny. There was this girl I was close to. You know, I know a lot of you like relationship kind of stories, so I'll tell you. So I was close to her in school, you know. And you know, you're close to somebody, you know something should happen. You know, and then nothing was happening. I wasn't saying anything, but we were close. I never said I love you, I never said anything, but we were close. Okay? But you know, before now, you know, the girl was just okay, nothing's happening, I go. But ladies of nowadays are liberated, which is good, you know. So they'll step up to you and say, hey, what's up, man? What's up, man? We've been hanging out together, what's up? Is there a future here? so when she confronted me with that what's up question, you know, I didn't know how to say it without being offensive. So I said, you know, I almost got a slap. I said, you know, in the picture frame of my future, I don't see you in it. That future or the desired future that I want, you don't play in it, okay? Because, I mean, you know, Tom Peters is still going to sit with me in my living room. And the Queen is probably going to call me for dinner. I don't see you sitting beside me with the Queen. Do you understand these things? All right? So, if not, what you will do, if you are not being driven by your dream, is that you will settle for what is immediately available. Did you understand that? All right? Because really, at that time, if I was to make a decision, you know, she would have fitted my level at that time.
That's it.
But that was not my level. That was just an external manifestation of a developmental process. That's what you can see. My level was, this is not even my level. Do you understand? And your affiliations, okay, and that's why environment matters. And environment, like I told you, is a function of 2 key things, your geography and your social network. Your geography is where you are, your location. Okay? Your location. He said, and I will take you to a land where I will show you. Because he knew that even though you have to have an imagination, you have to see that you are going to be father of all nations and all of that, he also recognizes the fact that you are not going to achieve it where you are. You have to move to a new land and all of that, okay? So let's move on. So, number 2, there's this one. Let me just tell you, let me drop it. Habakkuk 2, you know, where it was saying, write the vision, make it plain, you know, some of you know that part in the Bible, write the vision, make it plain so that he may see and run. And then when it got to verse 4, it says, why? Because the just shall live by faith. Okay? Now, another translation has it this way. The just shall live by what he sees in his mind's eyes. Do you understand that? The just man will live by what he sees in his mind. He's not concerned about what is happening around him. He's concerned, he's moved, he's motivated, he's driven by what he sees in his mind's eyes. Alright, so let's go to the next one. Say it. Your word creates your world. Okay? Now, the way that works is this. Oh, God. You know now, I need to go deep, but you know. Alright. Alright, because your soul is an incubator of the words of your mouth. Alright? And that's how it happens. So your soul, your spirit, takes the words that come out of your mouth and then incubate it, okay, and set things in motion in your life and around you, and in your world and in the universe around you, to make that dream become a possibility. Did you understand that? Alright? So, for those who are Christian, the Bible says that Jesus is the high priest of our confession. You know that part in the Bible? Okay, I can just give you the Bible verses and then you can read on your own. You can look at Hebrews 3:1, Hebrews 4:14-16, Hebrews 10:23. Alright? Now, when the Bible talks about confession, the word in the Greek it uses is a word called homologia. Okay? So when it says it's the high priest of our confession and all of that, the expression there is homologia. And I will tell you what homologia means. As any science student here? Science? You did biochemistry, you did something. You know there's something you do. Most of the expressions we use are coinages either from Latin or from Greek. Okay, so biology is bio, life, logos, study. So logos is word, homo is uniformity. Alright? So what is translated confession is not actually just the words you speak. Okay? It's talking about uniformity of expression. Okay? So it means that, like, see what he did to Abraham. He says, so Abraham, what do you see? He says, I see the stars. Says, okay, I see, God is saying to him, I see the same thing too. So shall your seeds be. Alright? What he's trying to do is to get him to begin to see what is in his heart and to begin to speak of it that way. So he says, you'll be a father of many nations. So God will speak it, and then Abraham will hear it. So he says, once has he spoken, twice have I heard. Why? Because when he speaks once, you hear it, and then you speak it again. So you hear it twice. Do you understand that? So once has he spoken, twice have I heard. So homologia is basically uniformity of expression. That is, God has a dream for your life, and God has an idea, God has a concept, God has a vision for your life. And He needs you to see that and to align yourself with what He sees, so that you are saying what He is saying about you. The only way Jesus can represent you to God is if you say what He says. Do you understand that? So He's the high priest of your confession. Okay? He's the one who ensures that there is a uniformity of expression between you and the Godhead. Okay? So if you say, for instance, I'm ill, I'm whole, I will not walk in sickness, I will not walk in darkness, I will not, and you make all those confessions, and you say it based on what it says, then there is a resounding amen in heaven. Amen. Based on that. Okay? And you need to bring yourself to a point where you open up your spirit and say, what is the extent of this thing that God wants for me? Okay? Because we believe there's a God element, isn't it? Alright? So what is the limit of this thing? And then you begin to dream, you document it, you write it, and as you begin to say those things, there's somebody else saying it up in heaven. Alright? So again, I gotta go. And then he says, the last one is seize it. You gotta lay hold of it. You gotta seize it. Alright? Seize it is what I did. When I imagine, I'll give you 3 examples. So when I imagine myself as that business executive, I'm not kidding you, I was in 400 level medicine when I said I was going to be director of strategy for organizations. Okay? Right now, I'm director of strategy for 3 different organizations. Wow. Okay? So if you look at my bag, I have like 3, 4 business cards, they all read Chief Strategy Officer, you know. So they all read the same thing, Chief Strategy Officer. All 3 organizations that I represent. And I was in 400 level medical school when, if I wrote it on one book by Charles Andy, okay? What's the name of that book? Something on organization, you know. So I wrote it on that book very clearly, Director of Strategy, because that was what I saw in my mind's eye. All right, this is the season part. So I saw it in my mind, I started to say it, okay? And now look at what has happened. I needed to seize it. And how do you seize it? You seize it by working at it. Okay? You seize it by working at it. So I went, you know, when you're in medical school, all you have, oh my God, after 6 years of medical school, after 7 years, if you leave, all you have is SSC. Do you know that? Do you know that? You stay 9 years in medical school and you leave one day to getting your certificate, all you have is SSC. So I looked at myself, and the reality of it dawned on me that all I have at this point was still my SSC, my GCSE, you know. I said, oh God, after all these years. So I could not even write ICANN. I had to start from ATS. How many of you know that ATS course, Accounting Technician Scheme? You know, so that's the one you do if you now pass and qualify, then you go on to ICANN. Now, the reasonable thing to do, you know, my friend that was already a chartered accountant told me, that Frenzo, the reasonable thing to do here is wait till you leave medical school, and then when you leave medical school, you can write ICANN with your certificate. I was 3 years away from finishing medical school. If I did ATS, I would be able to start ICANN in 2 years. But he felt it's a waste of money and waste of effort, which was right. But there's another principle. If you are ever going to start, start now. So now, if I'd waited 3 years to start ICANN, or to start pursuing that dream, to start seizing that dream, by the time I finish medical school, I'm telling you that dream will be dead. Okay? Because the cares of this world and all the distractions will come and choke it up. Alright? But immediately I decided, I said, I don't mind. I went and registered for ATS. Okay, the first ATS exam I did, I got the materials 2 weeks to the exam. I read like anyhow, I passed the exam. And what that did was, gave me the confidence that I was on the right path. I know what I now did. I now went and registered for the public relations, all of those exams from medical school. That is seasoning it. So it's all okay to talk fancifully and to think it's easy. No, it's a lot of hard work. Okay, right now I've got 2 master's degrees. I'm going in for another one maybe next year. All right, because you have to be at the top of your game. It's not just talk, it's in work. Do you understand this thing? All right, so because so for instance now, I've got a master's from University of Liverpool. I've got another one from Durham. What will happen is that there are some circles you still cannot enter because you are Durham and because you are Liverpool. There are some circles you need to be Cambridge to enter. There are some circles you need to be Oxford to enter. Of course, if you are distinguished, you know, people will recognize you and manage you into that circle, okay? But there's some doors that open to you because you are Columbia, because you are Wharton, because you are INSEAD, because you are Harvard, because you are Stanford, okay? And then you need to recognize that. And don't brag that I got 2 master's degrees. No! Because you are not yet there. Do you understand this thing? So you have to seize it. You have to evaluate and say, where am I? Am I accomplishing this dream? Am I laying hold of it? Am I seizing it? And you seize it by working at it. Okay? So for you, you know, again, not everybody will take the professional path like I'm taking. You know, your dream may be to build a business. Your dream may be to, so my own dream is different. You know, your dream may be to really build a successful business, and then you start from being distributor to one small Nigerian company, and then you grow it until, you know, you build a conglomerate. So that's a possibility, and then you are the next Tesco in Nigeria, or you are the next Walmart in Nigeria. You know, So your dream doesn't have to follow my own style, you know, but that's just because of who I am. Those are the kind of things that appeal to me. You know, I like management discourse, I like philosophical stuff, I love to do consulting, I love to solve problems by just analyzing and saying, you know, if we reduce the workforce here by this percentage, this will happen, and then if we increase compensation here, we'll be able to increase motivation here, and if we cut down this supply chain element and introduce this and this and this here, you know, those are the kind of things I like. Okay, give me a company that is not working, and I say, okay, your projects are failing. Okay, how do we manage the failed projects to become successful projects? That's the kind of thing I like to do. I mean, so not everybody is like that, you know. I have people. Most of my friends are still doctors, for instance. They don't even understand what I talk about, you know. So, again, because I like knowledge, you know, I still do my medical refresher courses, I still do all of that. I still sit in sessions where they teach endocrinology and cardiology and all of that, you know. So, but a lot of them can't even understand what I talk about. But they are doing well, they are successful people. They are consultants, you know, one of my classmates just bought into a practice in London, you know. I mean, a Nigerian girl going to the UK, went through all, and now she's brought into a practice. So her name is on the door. You know what I mean? Wow. You know, so a GP practice with her name on it. You know, so I mean that's something you see. So that's a dream for her. You know, so when she called me and said, Frenzo, they've offered me partnership, I said, wow, because you know. From 4 years ago, she was speaking about these things. She was talking about, I'm going to be a partner, I'm going to be this, I'm going to be that. You know, she dreamt it, she saw it, and she started saying it, and she walked towards it. How did she walk towards it? Most Nigerian doctors, this is what they do. Once they have their fellowship, that's all. So immediately she finished her fellowship, she said, okay, I'll do what we call SIG, a special interest group training. So she did a special interest training. So it's like, not a double fellowship, but you are picking interest in something else. So, you know, you are growing yourself. And once those British people see that, they know you are not the regular GP guy. You know, because right now, you are thinking at the level of a manager. You are saying, okay, if I have we can build an endocrinology practice alongside this GP practice, and they see the value you bring, so they will offer you partnership. So I said, one thing to do is to review their books. Okay, so that's where the strategist now comes in. Review their books, make sure you're not buying into a practice that is, you know, financially challenged. You know, look at their books, look at, you know, the returns on the investment, the asset base and all that, you know, and be sure that it's commensurate to whatever you're going to be putting in. So, but that was a dream, and she's living a dream, and that's fine. And it's not going to be mine, it's not going to be yours. So, but you need to decide what is that, and then work at it. If they tell you it's easy, it's not easy. The only reason why it's easy is because of the satisfaction you derive from knowing that you are working on your dream. Do you understand? Up till, I mean, you can only imagine how many hours a day I read and work and all of that. I do 18, 20 hours a day, reading and working. And that's my life, read and work. You know, I socialize from time to time, but I don't go to parties, I don't go to, you know, I don't go, somebody's getting married, I don't go, somebody's father is dead and they are burying him, I don't go, you know. And all my friends know it, okay? You know, so I've only been to, all my adult life, I think I've only been to maybe 8 or 9 weddings. Okay, 6 of which I was the best man. You know, you get what I'm talking about. So, but you need to know, because if not, all your Saturdays are gone. Once you turn 20 or 22, and you are not careful, all your weekends are gone on social activities. You know, somebody's getting married today, somebody's father is being buried tomorrow, somebody's auntie and great uncle is the other, you know. So I made a resolution, no social events. All right? If you throw a party that is a get-together, it's not about a get-together, of friends, I'll be there. I do that a lot in the UK. I call all my friends together at least twice a year, okay, because I understand, you know, the importance of relationships. But again, I also understand the importance of my time. So I'm going to balance it, okay, and make sure that I have a relationship without sacrificing on due time, all right? And if you go to your step-uncle's, grandchild, stepfather's funeral, it's not going, you are just another face in the crowd. I'm not saying don't go, I'm just saying for me, you know, I'm just another face in the crowd. That's not who I am. I'm never a face in the crowd. You know, so you need to determine what works for you and what doesn't work for you. For instance, I have a friend who goes to party. You know what? She says it's an excellent way of relaxing. So you see, that's her style. And she understands why she does it. Okay, she goes almost every weekend, she's at the party, they sing, they gist, they dance. You know what I'm talking about? You know, and that's okay. It's a choice. She's not responding to culture, to society. She derives value from doing it. It's a choice. You know, so just to put it in perspective, so that when I say I don't go to the party, I say, you know, that Dr. Frenzo guy doesn't go to the party, me so I can cancel up and say. All right. So now you have your dream. You have your dream. It's a compelling dream. You know, I mean, like my dream. Sit down with all friends and acquaintance, you know, I'm talking about, and discuss organizational behavior, discuss corporate strategy, you know, be on CNN to discuss this issue. You know, I'm going to be that guy on Bloomberg. So next time, you know, 4 or 5 years time, it's me on Bloomberg doing competitive analysis of regions across the world and all of that, you know. Yeah, so compelling dream. But then, you are broke, busted, and disgusted. You're right here where you are. So how do you move from this to that? Okay? So I have 5 steps to significance. So quickly write this down. Struggle, survival, success, stability, significance. Struggle, survival, success, stability, significance. All right? I think one of my mentors, Zig Ziglar, has 3 steps. He has it as struggle, survival, success. All right? So I put in, because you know, I was trying to make it more robust, so I put in those 2 additional ones, stability and significance. Struggle, success. Sorry, struggle, survival, success, stability, significance. I'm going to use a financial scenario to explain this to you. Struggle is, I don't have enough. I don't have at all. I'm struggling. I don't have. And it can be in any other area. I'm just using finance so that you can catch up to it very quickly. You know, money is something everybody understands. Survival. I barely have enough. I'm just getting by. Success. I have enough. I have enough for today. I have enough for right now and for the foreseeable, you know, for the immediate future. Stability. I have enough for now, for tomorrow, and hereafter. Significance. I have enough to give the world. All right? You got it. All right, so take for instance our man Bill Gates. Okay, so the man started from the basement, walked up, blah, 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 became, you know, they survived, you know, having to deal with IBM and all of that. You know, those were survival modes era, and then they succeeded, became the #1 IT company in the world, and it was smart. Now, when you succeed, success has a liability. What I call the liability of success is that you start to think that you can do anything. You start to think like you can get away with anything. But Bill Gates didn't make that example. After he became the richest man in the world, you know what he did? He got a fund manager. Because he knows there's something in that we call the S curve. S-curve of growth. You know, people in biology know that, people in marketing know that. So every growth takes an S-curve. So when you get to the peak, it plateaus, and then it starts to decline, isn't it? Nothing stays on top forever. And in the history of the world, nobody has been the richest man in the world for more than 5, 10 years. Bill Gates has been for, I think, 20, 30 years now. All right, so what did he do? He knows that he will decline. He had succeeded. He needed to stabilize his wealth. So he looked for a money manager. There's somebody that manages his money that nobody knows about. The man is called Michael Larsen. So he got Michael Larsen. Michael Larsen had an MBA from Chicago Bulls at the age of 21. You know, whiskey, brilliant guy, financial genius. So he got Michael Larsen and said, Larsen, can you manage my wealth for me? Because I want to start giving it away. I want to be significant. But you can't give away when it's not growing, when it's not multiplying. You will die, it will decline, it will reduce, and it will hamper your ability to keep giving, isn't it?
Yes.
So he struck a deal with Larsen. You make the money, and I give it away. Okay? So the first set of funds he gave Larsen, 11.6 billion. You know? And he started selling his shares in Microsoft and passing the money to Larsen. You know, over the last 10 years or more, he's given away $39 billion. Okay, and now he's worth, as at yesterday, it was worth $83 billion. Do you understand? And he started giving money away when his worth was like $39 billion. He was the richest man in the world at $39 billion. It was Sultan of Brunei at $38 billion. Then he took it from Sultan of Brunei, you know. Okay? At 39 billion, he was richest man in the world. Okay, see what has happened. He's given away another 38, 39 billion, and he's still worth 83 billion. Whereas Microsoft, about 10 years ago, was worth about 500 billion. Microsoft now is worth only about 384 billion. See, value of Microsoft has declined, isn't it? Because that's normal trend. Nobody stays at what Bill Gates has done. Oh no, I just kind of love that guy. All right. So, and what was the secret? Their secret was why I put in stability. Because after you succeed, you must stabilize it. Okay. Now, when it's money or investment, okay, the way you stabilize it is you diversify your portfolio. Okay, that's what you do in investment. That was what he did. Because when it was, what, 39 billion, all his money was in Microsoft. Okay? And so he diversified his portfolio, stabilized his income and his investment. Now, no disaster. Okay, now, you know, yesterday, no, 2 days ago, there was an issue with the iPhone. For those of you who follow technology, they released iOS 8.0.1, okay, and that just kind of messed up the entire platform. People could not make calls, Wi-Fi was problematic and all of that. And just that singular episode wiped out 20 in a day. The market responded, they lost 20 billion. All right? So, if all your money was in, of course, it's not sufficient enough. Yesterday they gained back some money, they released, and that's, you know, a good company, they released, and it's 8.4.2 yesterday, you know, to correct for the one of 2 days ago. It was not smart, you know. But the point is, if all your eggs are in one basket, if the basket breaks, all your eggs are gone, isn't it? All right, so what he did was he diversified his portfolio. All right, and then to achieve significance. So let me quickly take you through. So right now, most of us are in the phase of our life where we are either struggling or surviving. True. Based on the demographics, not to put anybody down, you know. I mean, 11 years ago, leaving medical school, or 12 years ago, leaving medical school, I was at the level of most of us. Now, you know, you're probably 25, 26, 27, you know, so you're at that phase of survival, of struggling, you know. So at that phase of struggling and survival, this is the most vital and most important thing. Make sure you sow seeds into your future. I was doing my house job, I was earning 72,000 a month. What does that come to in a year? Maybe 800 or 700 or something, 800. That year, I think I told you this, that year I spent over 500,000 in personal development. That is paying for exams, paying for, you can imagine, you know, what, not to brag or anything, but what most of my friends did was they bought cars. After 6 months of house job, they bought cars. You know, they all bought cars. I did not buy a car. So I put all the money into what? Personal development, because I had a dream, I had a goal, I had a vision. Okay, so I was doing an MBA, I was doing my ACCA, I was doing PHR, I was doing all these things, and they take a lot of money, you know. All those exams, certification and all that, they take a lot of money, you know. So that year, I spent over 500,000 on personal development, but it pays, okay? It pays. So it's at that, you know, when you say I've not eaten, you don't understand. I would pay for an exam and trek to the exam hall to write the exam. I was working 3 jobs at a point. I was covering 3 hospitals. I worked from, how many of you know Lagos? I was living on Ogulano Drive. I worked from Ogulano to Sabo. In fact, after Sabo, Alagomeji. I walked to Alagomeji. Every day, I was already a doctor. I would walk every day with my rucksack and they go, you know. I'm speaking those things as I'm going, you know. So, I mean, I was a doctor. I would leave 1 hour before my resumption, walk all the way. I was making a lot of money, you know, by average standard, you know. All my friends were buying cars. But now, I will pay for their trips around the world. You know, we were going to have a reunion. I said, our friends, I can't afford to, you know, she's in Canada. I said, I'll pay for your trip. You know, but this was the same guy that was working from Surulere all the way to Alagomeji. You know, but what was I doing at that point? I was investing in the future. It's hard, but you have to be able to do it. You understand? It's the only path to significance. People can, you know, especially those of you that go to church, you know, your pastors will tell you, just say it and grab it and confess it and believe it, you know. Oh, you gotta say it, yeah, but you gotta do. You gotta do. You understand what I'm saying? You know? So, I mean, all those motivational things they tell you, yes, they are correct, but you walk. Yes. You walk, you pay the price. But the difference is, when they are walking from, what's it called, from Surulere to Alagomeji, other people are walking, they are complaining, they are just smiling. They say, oh, these guys don't know. This guy that is moving is the same guy that will sit with the queen. It's the same guy that is OBE someday. You know what I'm saying? You know, so I'm not bothered that I'm walking. I'm not sweating it. Do you understand? Because you are being driven by something, and that's how you know somebody that has a goal. They are going through something that looks like difficulty and they are smiling and they are, is this man okay? Yeah, it's okay because he's seeing what you are not seeing. You know? I mean, when I was doing SCCA in Lagos, I went to one training school. And then out of them will come, it's too difficult, it's too difficult. I read. I'm like, what's wrong with these guys? I was a doctor, meaning you are on call. So I'm on call, I'm attending to patients, I'll read 30 minutes, they call you, and you go, you come back and read. So when people complain, I'm just like, what are they talking about? You know, come and be in my shoes for a while and see how hard it's supposed to be. But I don't see it as hard because of the price that was laid before me. Do you understand that? All right, so during the struggle and the survival mode, make sure you invest in the future. make sure you invest, and make sure you keep the dream alive. Your money, your time. Don't think you don't have enough. This is the way my dad says it. He says that the one that is broke is not the one who has nothing, but the one who does nothing with what he has. Okay, I'll say it again. The man that is poor is not the man that has nothing, but the man who does nothing with what he has. Do you understand? So you are poor not because you have nothing, but because you do nothing with what you have. You know how ridiculous it is for you to spend all your savings on personal development, but you know it's going to pay back. And then I started working. So, I mean, it's incredible. When I finally left medicine and I got into the marketplace of what my dream had been about all along, in like a year, my salary quadrupled. Do you understand that? And then I started at 150, went to 300, went to 500, went to 750 within a year. Because of the value you are bringing to the table. You don't forget you are one for the price of 10. I mean, with all those things, you go into a place, you see you look at their supply chain structure, you say, what is this? You know, I can save you 20 million by just redesigning this process. You redesign the process, they save 20 million. Why wouldn't they pay you 8 million out of that? Or why wouldn't they pay you 9 million out of that? Do you understand? And that's the way businesses think. Okay? You come into a place, you look at the process, you redesign it, you save them money, they'll pay you. What do you pay consultants for? Exactly that. Because you are solving a problem. And if you increase your capacity at problem solving, you also increase, anyway, today is not to talk about how to make money out of that. you know, this is just about chasing your dream. But I'm using those examples so that you see. It's incredible. It's incredible. So I'll tell you another thing during struggle and survival. So I started work afresh, I was married. So the next one was my wife's personal development goal. Alright? Because, I mean, to a measure, I had achieved an element. By the time I started working, I already had like 7 certifications. So, at least in terms of, you know, I had achieved the measure, okay? So, we said, okay, let's focus on my wife. And she said, okay, she wanted to go to either Imperial College or Harvard. That if she's going to America, it's Harvard. If she's going to the UK, it's Imperial College. I looked at school fees and said, you know? So, what did we do? All my savings went into it. We got a loan. To that, she went to Imperial. Then our school fees was, I think, about 23,000 pounds then. You know, so we pulled it together. We did it. Our first job, in fact, she got the job while she was a student, was already like maybe 35 or 37,000 per annum, you know, and then they increased that to 44, you know, and then she got the next job. Now, without, okay, the camera is on. If you put it up, I'll tell you how much she earns now.
Go behind the camera.
Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yes.
And I mean, that's just one singular investment in her education. Okay? Now she on her own, can comfortably pay for 3 students in Imperial if she chooses to. So when we say these things, it's not like, that's why I'm using, Pastor, I'm not telling you that there's somebody somewhere. You know, like most motivational speakers do. They will tell you somebody somewhere. No, I'm telling you things that I know, that I have handled, that I have touched, that I have experienced. These are not highfalutin stuff that happened to somebody that knows somebody that knows somebody. Okay? So, and it pays to develop yourself. And that's when you do it, during struggle and survival. And then when you succeed, make sure you stabilize, make sure you consolidate. Okay? And I mean, somebody starts, I see this all the time. one of my employees, well, not my employee, one of my direct reports, you know, one of the, not as an employer, but when I was working for a company, one of the people that reported to me, one day the guy just came to the office with a range. You know, I told the guy, hey, are you okay? You know, I mean, we paid him a bonus and he went and bought a range. But that's all well and good. I mean, it's what he wants, but that's what people do. But you don't want to do that. When you get that 10 million bonus, you've not, yeah, let's say you succeeded, but after you buy a range with it, so what? In 3 years, what happens? As a golden rule, I don't buy cars. You know, I don't buy any depreciable asset. As a rule, the car I'm driving is not even my own. You know? And if I buy a car, I'm buying it for a project. You know, so a project is paying for it, you know, something like that. And it has to be reasonable. You know? So we need to be careful. So because success, when you begin to succeed, it gives you a sense of you've arrived, you know, a sense of you can now do anything you want to. You know, but that's the time to consolidate and make sure that you build for the future. Okay? And don't be satisfied with success just for you. It has to be about others. It has to be about helping the world. It has to be about helping people. It has to be, and that way, it even grows. You know, look at that Bill Gates guy, man. The guy is amazing me. You know what the Bible says? There's a man that hoards and lacks. And there's another one that gives out, but increases. I mean, the guy is, 39 billion. With 39 billion that is given out, it should be like maybe the 5th richest person in the world. Do you understand that? But I don't think it would have grown that significantly if it wasn't given. Because giving liberates you. Giving brings you to a point that, you know, you are now free to dream even bigger. When you are keeping, it's restrictive. It's you know, you are looking inwards. But once you start to look outwards, you now see opportunity, you now see possibilities. Anyway, you need to move from struggle to significance through this journey. And we end by concluding where we started. You've got to see something, you've got to say something, and you've got to seize it. So just slap somebody and say, see something. Slap another somebody and say something. And then shake yourself and say, seize it! Seize it! Alright, that's all well and good we are done. So 3 key things. You've got to see something, you've got to say something, you've got to do something. Now, I add this journal. I keep journal, I keep a journal. So I had this journal when I was in school. I could write 2 pages of what I call confessions, okay? But they are just my dreams, but formulated in a way to inspire and stimulate me. Right, so I'm saying something like, I sit before the head of corporations, I solve problems for people, I solve problems for corporations. Anybody that comes with me with a problem, I have a solution to, I'm the solution provider. You know, I got all those things all written out in very eloquent prose, and I say it to myself over and over again. You may want to do something like that, you know. It just expands your mind, it broadens your mind, and then it forces you to think of other things that you want to do. You understand? And don't forget that the journey is towards significance. It's not just towards you having some money to take care of yourself, buy a nice tie, a nice jet, and a nice suit, but it's about influence in the world. When, you know, Time releases this thing of influencers, 100 influencers in this, 100, you never see a Nigerian in that list. So why don't you be one Nigerian that will make it to that list? So when they say the top 10 influencers in healthcare, you know, let somebody here make it on that list. Say the top 10 guys in investment. Let somebody here make it on that list. It's a possibility. We just need to think that it is possible. If you think that it is possible, you say it and you begin to work towards it, and then it will become possible. Okay? And people in Nigeria are really doing great stuff, you know. Despite all of the limitations, they are doing great stuff. And, you know, the country is counting on you. God is counting on you. I'm counting on you. Frenzo is counting on you.
Yeah, sure.
All right, so thank you very much.
Basically, what are you saying to him? Basically, you know, if we want to take questions, then we'll take the whole time. But just what do you want to say to him? You can see that he's 2 hours, he's got millions. We cannot pay. But what do you want to say to him, please? 2 persons, 1 lady, 1 man. Quickly, okay, Mr. Paul. Say your name, what you do, and your reaction.
Okay, good afternoon, everybody. My name is Paul Teokosuchino. I'm an ESCOM member. Still an applicant anyway.
Great.
Yeah. I want to say thank you to the doctor. He has so much been an inspiration to us, and personally, I gained a lot from his speech. I've been taking down notes, tweeting at the same time to my fellow, at least let those that are not here be able to see a little bit of what he is saying. I was so much inspired. I want to say thank you, doctor.
Thank you. All right, second person.
Hello, my name is Victor, and I'm very grateful for this opportunity you have given me today. But I want to ask a request. Can I have at least 5 minutes with you? I want to discuss something that is pretty important to me, if you don't mind.
Can I make it 3 minutes?
Okay. All right. So 1 lady, please. 1 lady. 1 lady. 1 lady. No lady want to say a reaction? All right. That's it. Thank you very much. Well, at Do Something Club, we'll try to give, we'll call them DS mentors, because they inspire us to dream, they inspire us to grow, and they inspire us to embark on that journey from survival to significance. So we have a gift for you, sir. It's just to induct you, sir, if you don't mind, as a DS mentor. So please, just get on stage. Thank you very much, sir. So, but before he leaves again, we also have a tradition, like I said, before he has his privilege, we want to take a good picture of him. Anybody interested in doing that? One of them is the photographer. Where's best? Who doing it here? Alright, somebody. Alright, great, yes. Okay, so next one. Alright, so next. Okay. Do something. Yes, mentor. All right. Thank you very much. Thank you. Okay, so.
From reading aspect,
yeah,
okay?
You also read before you got to this place where you
Correct.
When you look at Nigerian youth, the reading culture has really depreciated. So what do you think can be done to revive Nigerian youth reading culture?
Well, I think I would answer that question in 3 ways. Number one, if we say the reading culture has depreciated, do we have an indices that says this is what it was, this is what it is? I don't think we do, because generally we don't even have a research-based culture. So to make an assertion that the reading culture has dwindled might not even be true. We don't know. Okay, but the thing that we know that is true is that the quality of our graduates is inadequate to meet the challenges of the present economy, to meet the challenges of the present climate. So, so we have a challenge there. We also have a challenge with the way people read. People read in very myopic and very focused manner in Nigeria. So you're a doctor, all you know is medicine. You're an accountant, all you know is accounting. You're a microbiologist, and that's all you know. So, and that's got to change a bit. So the solution to that is not something I can prefer to and say do this and this and that. It has to be looking at it holistically. But from the top of my head, this is what I think. A reading culture needs to be developed from a very young age. You are talking about 3 years, 4 years, 5-year-olds. And they are the ones that we need to target, not people who are 25 and already formed. So if we want the country as a whole to develop a reading culture, it's not an immediate thing that you do. It's a long-term thing. And you have to start by targeting kids in pre-elementary school and then target them all through elementary, secondary, and then university. That's one. Two is right now, I don't know of any library I can walk into and read. And even if there's a physical structure, I don't think they are well equipped to do that. That's one. Three, I don't think there are what I call enabling groups. So if you want people to read, you have to have them in focus groups, interest groups, and they can discuss things. So say, for instance, I'm interested in studying the classics. Are there such interest groups in Nigeria where I can sit and discuss, say, the medieval period with in Nigeria? I don't think so. And that also speaks to the quality of our tertiary education. So it's a big problem, it's a big challenge. It's not one that one can just say, this is what you do. We have to look at it holistically. But whatever we do to solve that problem, I think it has to be from pre-elementary all the way to tertiary education. And once you get children reading, then you can develop the next generation of people who do actually read. Thank you.
From what has been said in the seminar today, I think it was quite motivating. I really learned a lot. There is no education or no knowledge that is wasteful. There are a lot of motivating things that he said, and I do share the ideology of educating yourself and also renewing your know-how, which is quite important in our well-being today. It doesn't matter where you're from, it doesn't matter your background. What is most important is that you keep developing yourself as a person and making yourself essential in your community and making a change. So that's my take.
Yes, well, Do Something Club, we started a brand called DS Mentor. We started a brand we call DS Mentor, and it's basically a mentoring seminar. We observed that a lot of young people have passion, enthusiasm, skill, potentials, but we really need direction. We really need somebody to show us what can we do with what I have. I don't like to program, for example, but I like to talk, I like to write. What can I do? So getting people to come speak to us to bring from within that which we have for the world. That's the whole idea for DS Mentor, I would say.
So what do you think is done now? What's your target like now to youths?
Yes, my target, what Do Something Club is trying to do is to partner with leading organizations. For example, we partnered with NITDA, and I'm very grateful for NITDA's support, National Information Technology Development Agency, that is under the leadership of Mr. Peter Jack, and he supported this program. So we want to partner. This was supposed to be one for IT sector. We want to partner with other organizations. If it's agri, we'll bring leading people in agri and do a seminar for 60, 100 people, not much, so that people can have one-on-one interaction with them. And as we go further, we have a dream actually to bring 1, 2, 3 youths, take them to big men, like people who have made it, successes like Dangote. We seek an audience with Dangote. 30 minutes of Dangote's time is no mean money, we know. But because of our reputation, the reputation Do Something Club, through DS Mentor, Dangote will be willing to speak with 3 or 4 of us to impact them. Have these 3 or 4 people ask personal questions and put these videos online so that young people can learn. So I'm really passionate about young people because I'm a young man. I'm in my struggling survival state right now. So I'm hoping that with these sessions, I can get into significance mode. Yes. That's the dream. Thank you very much.
So, may I ask a question, sir?
Sure,
what are the
sir.
challenges? Because anything I'm doing, there must be challenges.
Certainly.
Yeah, I want to know
well,
the
the
challenges.
challenge I think I've had so far is having people understand my dream. That people who are passionate the much as I am. You know, so I think that's that passion, that challenge. Sometimes the challenge of finance, you know, you want to do something big scale, but you don't have enough money for that big scale. So, but we're overcoming that challenge by doing something gradually. We're doing little by little. We're learning and growing. So, and we believe that God, with God's help and by seeking more help from other organizations, will go really far.
So what's your foot of thought for the young ones?
Well, I have just one advice for young people, and that's do something. Do something, start doing it, don't stop. Doesn't matter, the last event I did, I practically had to source for funds from everywhere, spend all my allowances, but you can see this one is better, we have support, so, and as we go and gain credibility, life becomes better, easier, we can stabilize and finally gain significance. Thank you very much.
Thank you much, God bless you.
Sure.
It was when I joined the Do Something Club that I picked up the community development project I did. I did a community development, NYC community development project at Government Secondary School in Galadima. I was able to set up a computer laboratory in the school, Government Secondary School, Galadima, inside Gwarimpa. So Do Something Club, we go out there, we motivating people, we do voluntary training in ICT, we go around for child online protection, advocacy for child online protection, recognizing our First Lady as the ambassador of child online protection. We'll be able to reach lots of government schools within Abuja, and even some of us go outside Abuja to motivate people to do something while they are young. And this program too has exposed us to a lot of things we young people have to know. We young people have to put in place some things we've not been taking advantage and opportunity of. So this program is really about doing something as a young person. Thank you very much.
I must thank our sponsors, NITSDA, National Information Technology Development Agency, Jack. Thank you for believing in our dream. Thank you for believing in our vision. Thank you for making this possible. Without your support, this wouldn't have happened. So I must say a very big thank you for all of that. And we hope that you continue to support our events and reach the lives of you. Thank you very much, Mr. Peter. Thank you, everybody, for coming. Thank you.
God bless. Good afternoon. Ma'am, it wasn't a place.
This is Haruna Ivano Adejo.
Welcome. What can you say about today's event, talk, the workshop, and everything?
I'll say it's a first-class event. We had first-class speakers, and it was wonderful. The information we got today is worth millions of dollars. I'm really glad I'm a participant.
So what the thought do you have for those who are not here? Because I know you have learned a lot to take out to them.
Yeah, I've learned a lot, and I'm taking a lot out to my friends. And the next session, I promise I'm coming here with at least 4 of my friends.
Thank you for coming. God bless you. God bless.